Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí, y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraígame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí, y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraígame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
Welcome to our virtual gathering of the Westside Unitarian Universalist congregation on this Sunday morning. I am Jennifer Distel, your service leader for today. I'm leading worship this morning with our Reverend Deanna Vandiver, who serves here at Westside as our bridge minister and as an affiliated community minister for love and liberation with the Church of the Larger Fellowship. Joining us behind the scenes, but making the scenes possible, is an extraordinary technical team, making sure that worship is delivered to you virtually and as gracefully as possible. Whoever you are, wherever you have come from, whatever the color of your skin, whoever you love, however your body moves and your brain works, however you identify, you are welcome in this faith community. We gather today from many locations, and we take this moment to particularly acknowledge that our congregation resides on the traditional territory of the Duwamish people. In this acknowledgement, we recognize the presence of the Duwamish and their heritage is present in the mountains, valleys, waterways, and shorelines that surround us all. May we nurture our relationships with the coastal Salish neighbors, especially the Duwamish people, and our shared responsibilities to this place. At this time, we are acutely aware of the traumatic history of pandemics brought through colonialization and on these native cultures and the traumatic impact it caused. Let us take a moment to offer humble respect for this place and its people.
Our opening words are from the poet Ellen Bass. The thing is to love life, to love it even when you have no stomach for it, and everything you've held dear crumbles like burnt paper in your hands, your throat filled with the silt of it. Then you hold life like a face between your palms, a plain face, no charming smile, no violet eyes. And you say, yes. Yes, I will take you. I will love you again. Come, beloveds, let us worship together today.
In Unitarian Universalist congregations worldwide, services begin with the lighting of the chalice. A flame within a chalice is the primary symbol of Unitarian Universalist faith tradition. Our chalice lighter today is Amanda Meyer.
After several major life transitions, Amanda was looking to reconnect with a long-held spirituality and found Westside UU a year and a half ago. She was born in Seattle, but raised in Sequim on the beautiful Olympic Peninsula. After high school, she eventually made her way to Southern California, where she obtained her degree in nursing. Amanda was a travel nurse for several years, but the pull of the Pacific Northwest was too much, and she made her way back to Seattle about 10 years ago. Finding WSUU is like coming home. Having a spiritual home fulfills a need that fits Amanda's moral, ethical, political, and fundamental values in life. Sharing these values with fellow congregants has been healing, and services, virtual or live, are an integral part of what Amanda treasures at WSUU. The worship team and music renew her weekly. She is also involved in her covenant group where connection and trust are built with new friends. And during this time of separation, the cluster group has also been a valuable resource to see friendly faces every week. Amanda feels so deeply blessed to have stumbled across WSUU and to be a part of this spiritual family. She is looking forward to when we can be together again in physical community. Until then, you can find her spending time in her garden with her dogs on Beacon Hill.
Thank you, Amanda. We are so happy that you have chosen Westside as your church home. Our chalice lighting words are from Gordon B. McKeeman, a UU minister who placed tremendous value on lay ministry and endeavored to respect and encourage all practices that serve to include and engage for the betterment of self and congregation. Deep calls unto deep. Joy calls unto joy, light calls unto light. Let the kindling of this flame rekindle in us the inner light of love, of peace, of hope, and as one flame lights another, nor grows the less. We pledge ourselves to be bearers of the light wherever we are. And now, you are invited to rise in body or spirit and join us in our opening hymn, number 1024, When the Spirit Says Do.
You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord, you gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do, 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 Spirit says do. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing, oh Lord. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing. Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing, Spirit says sing. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. Spirit says dance, 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 Spirit says dance. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh, oh Lord. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. Spirit says laugh, 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 Spirit says laugh. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. Spirit says do, 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 Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. Your joy is so infectious. Welcome again to our Westside Unitarian Universalist congregation. If you're with us for the first time, we are so glad that you have found us during this complicated time. Please connect with us on our website, WSUU.org, so that we can send you our weekly electronic newsletter, the Westside Weekly, with information about upcoming worship services and other virtual events. Even as we shelter in place, there are many invitations to be a part of the UU community. Once a month, the elders of WSUU are invited to gather with Reverend Deanna in a small group ministry where we check in with each other, consider matters of significance together, and share our experiences, wisdom, and questions. The next Aging to Saging gathering is scheduled for this Wednesday, June 10th at 2 p.m. via Zoom online. Please let Reverend Deanna know if you would like to join this meeting, and you can reach her by emailing minister@wsuu.org. The General Assembly is upcoming, and the annual meeting is scheduled for June 24th through 28th. It's a 100% virtual event. If you would like to register, please go to uua.org/GA. Westside members are invited to join us in our first ever online annual meeting after services today, using the Zoom meeting format and Google Forms for our voting process. We will vote on our board slate, our nominating committee, and our budget. And today, we are lifting up service, a form of UU prayer in this world, globally and locally. Our Unitarian Universalist Service Committee has shared this video with us, a window into our faith service around the world.
UUSC is an independent human rights organization guided by the values of Unitarian Universalism and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We were founded in 1940 to support refugees and political dissidents fleeing the Nazis. In more than 25 countries around the globe, including the United States, UUSC works eye to eye with innovative grassroots organizations to advance locally led solutions and center the leadership of communities most affected by human rights abuses. Currently, we partner with over 60 grassroots groups to respond to humanitarian crises and natural disasters, to support communities being inundated by the earliest impacts of climate change, and to advance the rights of Central Americans fleeing extreme violence in their home countries. In Haiti, we are in our 10th year of partnership to support equitable and sustainable recovery from the 2010 earthquake. In the Bahamas, we are working with frontline partners to support the Haitian migrant population there, whose neighborhoods were ravaged by Hurricane Dorian. In our climate justice work, we are partnering to support indigenous communities of Alaska, Louisiana, and the Pacific, who are at risk of losing their ancestral homelands to the climate crisis they did little to create. Upholding the right to self-determination, we are supporting community-led mitigation and relocation plans while amplifying our partners' voices and advocacy goals in international decision-making forums. In our migrant justice work, UUSC is defending the right to asylum in the United States, the right to safety on the migrant journey, and the right to stay safely at home in countries in Central America. For example, in the United States, we work with allies and partners to dismantle the profit-driven detention system. And in Honduras, we partner with grassroots leaders who are bravely defending human rights and free expression in the face of oppression and corruption. At UUSC, our work with our partners and courageous activists has proven to be an impactful and cost-effective way to make a tangible, lasting difference for people who are often left behind by larger organizations. We are proud to receive the highest rating from Charity Navigator for our financial health, accountability, and transparency. And we are grateful for the moral and financial support of our members, people like you.
Wow, there is much to do. Thank you to the UUSC for all of your work. One of our core values as a congregation is that we aspire to be warm and welcoming to everyone. In support of this important ministry, let us take a moment to picture the faces of our friends at Westside and to imagine the space we keep open to newcomers. We want to stay connected with each other and make new connections during our virtual service, so please type your greetings into the chat box so that we know that you're here and can send you love. And then if you wish, please take a moment to send a quick text or email or loving thought to someone you care about. We are all invited to please take a little extra time to be compassionate and kind with those you encounter, however distantly, throughout your week.
So we give thanks for this time of connecting and reconnecting. You will find the words of our congregational affirmation on your screen. One of the most important expressions of how we are bound together as a community of faith, children, youth, and adults, is this spoken affirmation. It is a statement of our highest values as Unitarian Universalists and the promises we make to each other at Westside to co-create our beloved community. Please join me now in our unison affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship. Thus do we covenant to one another.
In a moment, we will engage in a collective act of generosity known as our offering, where we take time to actively support Westside UU with our gifts by text or check. 1/3 of our weekly plate collection for the month of June will be given to the COVID Relief Fund for undocumented individuals in Washington State. This fund provides direct economic support to those in the undocumented community who don't qualify for federal and state benefits and whose work status is impacted by the pandemic. It operates in partnership with the Northwest Immigrants' Rights Project, Entre Hermanos, and the NAACP, among others, and has been recommended by Westside's Racial Justice Committee. To give by text, the number is 888-530-9056. If you need to update your payment information, simply text EDIT to the same number, 888-530-9056. Thank you for your generosity in helping to sustain our beloved community. Our gift of music today is called We Will Join Our Hearts Together. It was written by and will be sung by our wonderful music director, Scott Farrell. We will join our hearts.
Sometimes it's just the little things we do that cause the strongest change. A smile, a touch, a word of comfort, fan the flames of love. We learn that in our hearts there's something glowing, shifting, pulsing, changing, growing, serving one another through this lifetime. And we will join our hearts together, you and I, sharing Spirit's grace and by, as we give to one another, love will fly, and we'll soar through love's bright, never-ending sky. Service works in many ways to guide us through our nights and days. A power grows within us now, a solemn and a sacred vow, to bless the world with joy and giving, caring, blessing, knowing, living, serving one another through this lifetime. And we will join our hearts together, you and I, sharing Spirit's grace and by, as we give to one another, love will fly, and we'll soar through love's bright, never-ending sky. And the mother gives to all her children, each and every one, pouring out her love to every daughter, every son. Through the gifts that we are given, we can open any door. The sharing gives us wings so we can soar. And we will join our hearts together, you and I, sharing Spirit's grace and by, as we give to one another, love will fly, and we'll soar through love's bright, never-ending sky. We will join our hearts together, you and I, sharing Spirit's grace and by, as we give to one another, love will fly, and we'll soar through love's bright, never-ending, 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 soar through love's bright, never-ending sky.
Truly a gift of music. Thank you so much for every bit of that. When we join our hearts together, we will fly, you and I. And each week, we bring our hearts together as a congregation to connect and share that which matters to us. And at this time, we make collective space for holding our joys and our sorrows. Today, we light a memorial candle, as is the tradition of this congregation. We light this candle for the life of Patty Hooper, a beloved thread in the tapestry of the Westside Unitarian Universalist community. Patty died early Wednesday morning after suffering a stroke earlier this week. We hold Larry Murphy and their daughter Mackenzie Murphy in our collective care as we celebrate the life and mourn the death of Patty. You're invited to share your grief in your congregational care clusters, and an online space dedicated to holding space to grieve together will be scheduled soon. We light candles. It's a way, a ritual, to let us honor the joys and sorrows. And it is the tradition of this congregation on the first Sunday of each month to light candles together. So this Sunday, you're invited to find a candle in your home to honor this tradition if it's available to you. You're also invited to light a virtual candle over in the chat box to bear witness to all the joy and all the sorrow that we hold together today. You're welcome to copy and paste your lit candle in the chat box as we breathe in and out together, witnessing the breadth and depth of our sorrow and our joy. Thank you, beloveds. We continue to lift up the sorrows and the joys of our hearts as a community. It has been reported that over 10,000 Americans have been arrested in the rising up resistance to police brutality and systemic oppression in the past week. And it is a deep sorrow that this nation is more prepared to go to war against its people than to defend us against a pandemic. Dr. Kiana Maria Ross writes, many Americans awakened by watching footage of Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd by kneeling on his neck are grappling with why we live in a world in which Black death loops in a tragic screenplay, scored with the wails of childless mothers and the entitled indifference of our murderers. And an understanding of anti-Blackness is the only place to start. This morning we bear witness. And we honor that love resists that which dehumanizes us all. We give thanks and celebrate everyone from this congregation and in our faith and in the world who has shown up in body or in spirit to the uprising, resisting the impacts of oppression and hate. We give thanks that one day is here. This morning, we also hold in our care everyone impacted by Tropical Storm Cristobal, the third named storm in a hurricane season, only 1 week underway. And the Depe family shared the sorrow that Kai, the exchange student from Brazil, who has been a part of the Westside UU youth group, has left Seattle after 5 months here with us, and the joy that after a day and a half of travel, he has now safely returned home. Beloveds, let us now hold in our hearts the joys and the sorrows, known and unknown, of this beloved community. Let us trust together that there is a love holding us. Beloveds, I invite us to breathe in and out, resting for a moment in this love together. The essential breath of life, breathing in and breathing out. So many layers of our embodied human experience are activated in this moment. And I invite you now into a beloved body scan with me as we enter a meditation of shared compassion, inviting you to breathe in and out, closing your eyes or softening your gaze as you wish. And I invite you to start with your fingers. If it's available to you, tightening them into a fist, squeezing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then breathing in, releasing on the out breath. And then squeezing your shoulders together as this is available to you tightly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathing in, releasing on the out breath. Sometimes we are only aware how much we are carrying when we pay attention to the tightening and the releasing. So I invite you to continue through your body, wherever you think there might be tightness, where you might be holding grief or rage or sorrow. Tighten, breathing in and out, releasing on the out breath. Maybe your feet, your calves, your thighs, your seat, maybe your biceps, might be a deep tightness in your neck. Wherever you feel called to pay attention in this moment, I invite you to tighten with attention that space for the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Releasing on the out breath. Breathing in and breathing out, bearing witness to the whole and holy human creatures we are. I invite you to gently roll your shoulders. If you need a hug in this moment, like so many of us do, know that you can always offer this gift to yourself so that you may feel an embodied experience of the vast love holding you. Collective liberation requires that we honor our beings and every being. We breathe in and we breathe out. I invite you into this meditation hymn, Meditation on Breathing by Sarah Dan Jones, performed by the Holston Valley UU Virtual Choir, produced by Wendy Harrell and shared with us by the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee.
Breathe
Our reading this morning is a story adapted from the history Righteous Among the Nations, shared by the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee.
Hi, friends. It's great to all be together even while we're staying in our homes. Today, I want to tell you a story about how the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC, began. It all started 80 years ago when Unitarians in the United States were watching what was happening in Europe, and they were getting very worried. They were worried because a man named Hitler and the people he was leading, people called the Nazis, were becoming very powerful and hurting a lot of people. The Nazis believed some very mean and wrong things. They believed that the only people who were any good were people who were just like them. They wanted everyone to be the same as they were, and if you weren't, well, they would kick you out of your house, they would take all of your things, they wouldn't let you work. And eventually, the Nazis started killing a lot of people who they thought were different from them. Jewish people, gay people, people with disabilities, all of them were targets of the Nazis during this time. It was very scary. What do you think you would do if you saw something like this happening? Would you want to help? Would people in your UU community want to help too? It was the same 80 years ago. The Unitarians wanted to help people in Europe who were being targeted by the Nazis. So, a Unitarian minister and his wife from Wellesley, Massachusetts, Waitstill and Martha Sharp, went to Europe to see how they could help the people there. They found lots of ways to help when they got there, but they had to be creative because the Nazis were always watching, and it would be very dangerous if they got caught. The Sharps helped get paperwork to people that they needed to escape to safer places. Sometimes they would even sneak people past the Nazi guards wearing disguises. They also helped people, including kids like you, get food and clothing at a time when it was very hard to find both. The Sharps were very brave, but they didn't do this work alone. They worked with people in the Jewish communities in Europe, and they worked with other Unitarians in the United States who would send them money and other supplies so more people in Europe could be helped. That is how the Unitarian Service Committee, now called UUSC, got started. Today, UUSC is still working around the world to help people who are being treated badly find safety and have their human rights respected. We work with migrant communities who fled their homes in Central America and are seeking asylum in the United States. We work with Rohingya Muslims from Burma who are facing inhumane treatment and displacement by their government. We work with people around the world whose home communities are threatened by climate change, and many, many more. Both 80 years ago and today, UUs come together through the UU Service Committee to work with people who need it most. And we will continue to be there to help into the future, because Unitarian Universalists believe in doing what we can to make the world a better and safer place for everyone. Thank you for all the ways you help us do this work. We couldn't do it without everyone joining together. So grateful that you're here. Thanks for listening to this story. Bye.
Thank you, Reverend Laura. Service is our prayer. It's a Unitarian Universalist prayer. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee was born out of a global conflict that denied the inherent worth and dignity of each person, that held no respect for the interdependent web of which we are a part, offered little possibilities for justice and compassion. And they are us, our faith alive in the world, with an analysis about power and a commitment to equity, to care, to relationship. In many ways, the UUSC is our prayer of service writ large, symbolizing the orthopraxy of our faith, a religion grounded in how we choose to live life in the world, beyond any profession of belief. A prayer for a world where all shall know liberation and systems transformed by compassion and care. The UUSC has often served as a first responder for our UU faith, siding with love against systems of oppression for well-being. I'm going to show you some now because we can do this in the virtual world. Siding with love against systems of oppression for the well-being of those pushed hardest to the margins by oppression and disaster. At its core, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee commits to advancing human rights through grassroots collaborations. Organizing is intimately and ultimately about relationships. So too our faith. The UUSC embodies this understanding in forming mutual relationships of trust and care with communities around the globe to bring a kingdom of liberation into being. One of the most powerful gifts the UUSC offers our faith is public witness and resisting in the name of love. And in this spirit of our faith, for the next few moments, we're going to stop Sunday as usual, business as usual. This Sunday, we are invited into sacred witness in defense and liberation of Black lives. The level of anti-Blackness in this country and in this world cannot be underestimated. So right now we interrupt our plans. We interrupt the normal of quiet complicity like the Sharps did so many years ago. We risk the awkward and the painful and the personal as we hold the prayer of our service in this moment, as together we offer sacred witness in defense and liberation of Black lives. Today we witness and we hold space for this truth, that Black lives matter. Bear witness with me now. There are so many ways, friends, for us to tell the world with our words, with our lives, with our resources. We bear witness in defense and liberation of Black lives. Wherever we are on the journey, we are faithfully invited to begin again in love. Just begin. Breathing in and breathing out. We offer gratitude this morning for the spiritual sustenance of an anthem written by Lynn Hollyfield, sung by Lynn and Leah with Kristen Jones on the cello. Just begin.
1, 2, 3, 4. When you're feeling lost or a little blue and the world around isn't what you used to, you are all sad. Now life shakes that dream. It's an illusion. What does it all mean? Take a deep breath. Now it's a start. Take a leap of faith from your weary heart. Pull out your colors from deep within. An old seed planted, now a flower blossoming. You thought the days ahead would be a little lighter. You thought your steps would have taken you farther. Wherever you are, it's where you need to be. Like in the night, dawn's around the corner, dark in the light. Help teach you to be stronger. Wherever you are, it's where you need to be. Don't worry, what's been, just begin. Pull out your colors, you might think they're dim, but only your hand can make them blend. See for yourself what's right before your eyes. It's your masterpiece with no disguises. You thought the days ahead would be a little lighter. You thought your steps would have taken you farther. Wherever you are, it's where you need to be. Like in the night, dawn's around the corner, dark in the light. Help teach you to be stronger. Wherever you are, it's where you need to be. Don't worry, what's been. Don't worry, look within. Don't worry, where you've been. Just begin.
And always, this community begins with love. Chaplain Emeritus Mark Newton shared with me that every survey of the core values of Westside UU resulted in the same primary value: community. I have witnessed the compassion and the growing skill with which you have turned towards each other again and again, with heart, with hope. We will join our hearts together, you and I, sing Scott's gift of music. And it is true. When I first connected with Westside to be a part of bridging congregational life from an interim ministry to the arrival of your called minister, my memorandum of service priorities was limited to the scope of worship planning team, pastoral care team, religious professional staff, and your amazing governing board. When my original 4-month contract became a little more open-ended, my scope expanded a bit more, and every bit of me is left in awe at the scope of prayers of service offered with such heart by this community. From the transition working group, beloved conversations, facilities management, religious exploration, teachers, council, the youth adult committee, coming of age, our whole lives, OWL, youth group, nursery, common quest team, covenant groups, including men's and women's groups, the Buddhist meditation group, spiritual study book group, the nominating committee, the Westside Chorale and musicians, the Chancellor Flowers, when that was the aesthetic of our heart, AV team, now the tech team, membership committee, greeters team, the hospitality members team, hospitality ministry members, also you made kitchen, coffee hour, that very embodied service with those beautiful aprons, racial justice change team, the BIPOC, Black, Indigenous People of Color Caucus, community outreach ministry team, partner church committee, the landscape team, the auction team, book sales, soup lunches, stewardship team, finance team, now congregational care clusters. I invite you to add all of the other precious ones into the chat box. There's just so many amazing teams, committees, task force, and connection, prayers of service. And the hundreds of essential gifts of care and offering that cannot even begin to be captured on a list of teams and committees. I bear witness to 1,000 acts of kindness and care that you offer to each other, prayers of service that weave a tapestry of faith visible in the world, our now and not yet beloved community. You hold each other through grief. I've seen y'all pet sit at the drop of a hat. You talk each other through the mysteries of Zoom. You bake bread, some of it gluten-free, for each other. You take the time to read really long, passionate emails. You share patterns for masks and the best ways to make them. You buddy each other at witnesses and protests, offer childcare to each other. You bring food to the food bank. You share books in the beautiful little free library built by a Westside member. And dear ones, it all makes a difference. Not one prayer of service you offer has ever been wasted. Each one makes the next moment of connection, of healing, of loving possible. So many offerings of faithful service, co-creating a prayer of beloved community, a congregation that loves and is willing to be loved. It takes courage. A congregation that trusts and is willing to practice being trustworthy. Dear ones, I love you. I love the way you choose to love each other and to love the hell out of this world. May you bear witness to the spirit of generosity and abundance alive and well in the heart of this place. And if you notice any tightness within you at this honoring, may you breathe through it into the promise of our faith alive in the world. In her fierce poem, The Low Road, the poet Marge Piercy, first shared with me by my 8th grade English teacher, ask, what can they do to you? Whatever they want. They can set you up, they can bust you, they can break your fingers, they can burn your brain with electricity, blur you with drugs till you can't walk, can't remember. They can take your child, wall up your lover. They can do anything. You can't stop them from doing. How do you stop them? Alone, you can fight, you can refuse, you can take what revenge you can, but they roll over you. But two people fighting back to back can cut through a mob. A snake dancing file can break a cordon. An army can meet an army. Two people can keep each other sane, can give support, conviction, love, massage, hope, sex. Three people are a delegation, a committee, a wedge. With four, you can play bridge, start an organization. With six, you can rent a whole house, eat pie for dinner with no seconds, hold a fundraising party. A dozen makes a demonstration, 100 fill a hall. 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter. 10,000 power and your own paper. 100,000 your own media. 10 million your own country. It goes one at a time. It starts when you care to act. It starts when you do. It starts when you do it again. And they said no. It starts when you say we and know who you mean. And each day you mean one more. Beloveds, each day, may we mean one more. May we continue to offer each other our service of prayer and our prayers of service. Y'all are beloved, all y'all. I give thanks to the moral imagination and the strong efforts of this beloved community. And today we've created a gift honoring our local prayers of service within Westside UU with special gratitude to Shannon Day and Jonathan Rawl. We honor everyone whose prayer of service has made the mission and vision of Westside Unitarian Universalist congregation possible and alive in this world. A prayer made witnessable. Dear ones, we invite you to take this moment and celebrate with us, witnessing your many gifts of service to each other.
much gratitude. Thank you, everyone, for your gifts of service. You are now invited to rise in body or spirit as we sing our sending hymn, number 1074, Turn the World Around, written by Harry Belafonte and Robert Friedman. Together, we can turn the world around.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. So is life. Whoa, so is life. So is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Whoa, so is life a bitiwa. So is life. Whoa, so is life a bitiwa. So is life. Water makes the river, river wash the mountain, fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around. Whoa, so is life a bitiwa. Ha! So is life. Whoa, so is life a bitiwa. Ha! So is life. Whoa, so is life a bitiwa. Ha! So is life. Whoa, so is life a bitiwa. So is life.
Thank you, Scott. Our closing words today are again from Gordon B. McKeeman. The worship of the gathered community is now ended. Go in peace, go in joy, go in love to share the ongoing worship of the community in dispersion. Carry with you what is precious to us all, reverence for all life, beauty that displays itself in love, and deep, abiding peace. Let us now release the flame and carry it in our hearts for each other and our world until we gather and worship again. Our service concludes with the singing of the fivefold Amen. We would love to honor the African American roots of our closing song by pronouncing it Amen. Please join hands in body or spirit, wherever you may be, as we sing together. To enjoy a postlude gift played by John Hanson, and then join us for our annual congregational meeting as you are willing and able. by clicking the link provided in the chat box or in the Worship Blast email sent to you this morning. Our time together may be ending, but our call to service in the world has only begun. May you leave this space with a heart of peace and compassion, ready to love the hell out of this world. Thank you for being a part of this faith community.
Hi, I'm gonna sing for you today.
That's all, folks.
See you at noon.
Bye. Don't forget to stop recording.
Yeah, thanks.